Firstly, thanks everybody for joining us. So this is our first webinar in a while, and we had planned to do it a bit more regularly, but I don't know what happened. We just all got busy and forgot to set one up. But the purpose of this really is, ideally share what we're up to, and I suppose overall help have more of a connection with our customers and learn more about what it is you want. Ultimately, what we're building at Stora is a software product that is designed to make it easier to run your business, to grow your revenue, to grow your sales, and so we just want to have as much contact as we can with our customers. And this is the last time we did this, it was a great way to do that and to get questions and to give everyone a chance to ask us questions. Most of our team, or our whole team, are on the call here, so we're all here to listen and also, I suppose, share some of the stuff we've been up to as well. So we have been up to quite a lot, and so a few things on this call. Stephen's going to talk us through a few of the releases. We've released a few things just in the past half hour that we're going to talk you through. So if you're a Stora customer, you'll actually see these things in your account if you're in them at the moment. So Stephen's going to go through those. I'm going to go through a few sort of just top tips. That'll only be hopefully a 5-minute quick run through. It's just for customers, like some top tips about how some of the newish things we've released, and just making sure you've turned those on to get a bit more out of Stora. Josh is then going to make a bit of an announcement about this cool thing we've got planned for May. I won't say any more. And then we're going to run into a Q&A, and that Q&A is for anybody. So we have some customers on here, some non-customers. So feel free to ask your questions if there's anything you want to ask me or any of the other team about. So we're all here to take those questions. So Stephen, why don't you? I'll hand over to you, and you can go through these new features we've released.
Yep. Cheers, Gavin. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for turning up. Great to see you all. So yes, today I'm going to be talking about a bit about the evolution of Stora. And I suppose today what we've been focused on is building things that give you the core tools that you need to sell online, take payments, and manage your business. But in the background, Stora has been amassing quite a lot of data and insights around your business that we haven't quite exposed to you yet. And today we're going to show you a few ways that we're going to start exposing that data to you to make your life a bit easier. And that's going to take the form of 2 features. And the first one is the home screen. So this is something that's going to make your day-to-day life easier than ever in Stora. And I'm going to show you an actual live walkthrough of this now. So I'm going to stop presenting that and share my screen. If you give me a second. Okay, so it should just be loading now. Can you guys see that? Yep, that's it now. Okay, so this is the Stora home screen, and this gives you key insights across your business, different actions that you can perform, which are auto-populated here by Stora, and it also gives you at a glance a look at your different sites on a day-to-day basis. So I'll quickly talk through some of the elements you can see here. So at the top here, we have occupancy, and this is you'll know from other parts of Stora. So this gives you your occupancy level across your business, across any sites you have. And if I click into that, this will filter you down through into your occupancy view. This is an updated version that we launched today, which showcases the actual unit breakdown over time, and you can see the change over time on this now, which wasn't there before. Then if I go back to the home screen, the next stat you'll see here is month-to-date revenue. So what this is monthly revenue, all the invoices that have opened since the first of the month until the current date. And at the end of the month, this would reset, but it gives you like a really quick way to see all of the money that you've made in a specific month. The next one here is awaiting payment. And what this is all open invoices that have an outstanding balance. So this makes it easy for you to know what you're owed and chase up any missed payments. So again, if I click on this, this will take you through to a filtered view of your invoices to see this invoices with this open state that has an outstanding balance. The next thing I'm going to show you is the actions section. So this is something we realize has been missing from Stora for quite a while, but hopefully it's going to be a very useful feature for everyone. So actions are things which will help you manage your leads and how manage your subscriptions. So Storefront leads, you can see here, is the first one. Any new leads that come to your website from, say, the pop-up form which you released recently, or registering interest in the unit, will appear here to highlight things that you need to follow up on. The other 3 actions then are all related to allocations. So if you have a forthcoming move-in, you will be notified that you need to allocate it if it hasn't been allocated. If you have an active subscription that isn't allocated, you'll be notified here. And if you have somebody who's moved out but you haven't managed to deallocate yet, you'll be notified here too. And as soon as you've actioned these things, these actions will disappear. So it'll always only show you what you need to do. So I'll click here on Storefront Leads just to show you again. Takes you straight to what you need to see. So everything now will be much easier to find in the store because it's all just accessible from your home screen. Okay, so that's the top section. And then next I will show you here the site specific section. So this is a site that we've set up called Leicester. And as you can see here, we also have an option that you can select other sites. So if you have more than one, you'll have a drop down here to pick your sites. This gives you a quick view of your map, a feature we released at the end of last year. And this move in, move out panel is a new thing we're launching today, which gives you from the current date into the future, a list of all future move ins and move outs. So we can see there's 2 move outs today and 1 move in, and we can see if they're allocated or not. So again, this is a quick and easy way to decide what you need to do about allocation. So I can come into this one, for example, and see that it's allocated and allocated. And lastly, on this view, we have the unit availability table. So this is quite similar to what you see in the unit types table, but it's streamlined and made accessible on your home screen. So this is perfect for if, say, you have a customer who's on the phone and you need to tell them a price or check which availability of different unit types you have. This is all now on your home screen, ready to be used. So that's the home screen. This is the first version of it, and at the end, we'd love to hear your own ideas about what else we could put here that will make your day-to-day life easier. The next feature I'm going to show you is a special preview. So it's not quite live in your account yet, but it will be soon. So it's related to reporting. Reporting is probably the most requested feature we have in Stora. And it's something we've been thinking about for a while, is how do we present reporting in a really, really useful advanced way. And we've done a lot of work on the groundwork to get our vision of reporting online. And I'm going to give you a quick run through here of a first report. So now you'll see this new reports section whenever you get access to this. And the first report I'll show you is allocated square foot over time. So this is a report which is showing you here on the Leicester site data for the last 3 months grouped by week. So if I hover over any of these columns, you'll see how many square foot has been allocated in that column, how many square foot has been deallocated, and the net change in that period of time. So for example, if I see here, this one's been 209 allocated, 99 deallocated, so the change is 110 in that period. But the thing that's really interesting about this is the flexibility and the filterability of it all. So say I want to go in and change that to 6 months. It'll instantly change to show you the progress over the last 6 months. And then if I want to change the time period by which it's grouped, we can do that too. So you can do it by day, but I'll do it by month here just to show you. So when that loads in here, you can see it's now grouped by month. So you can get a really quick glance at what's been allocated and deallocated in terms of square foot over any given month. And this trend line is showing you, again, the net. So you can sort of see the progress that's happened over time. And just down below that, we also have the data in a table format. And finally, if you go up to the export and export like you would elsewhere in Stora, you'll get a CSV of whatever the current selection you've got for your report is. So yeah, this is our first report that we'll be going live with, but we plan to add many more over the near future. And again, at the end of this call, we would like to know what you want to see next. But yeah, so that is most of what I was going to talk about today. I'll hand over to Gavin, who's going to talk to you about some top tips.
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, I think before I do, I just was going to say about the reporting. Stephen mentioned it is one of the most requested features in Stora that we develop our reporting solution, and we take that very seriously. And what Stephen showed you there is kind of report number 1, but over the next few months, we're going to be adding more and more reports there. And ultimately, where we want that to get to is all the reports that you need to run your business are right there for you. So they're right there, just easy to get, easy to see. You can download the data, you can see the data. It's all shown to you in a nice, easy to understand chart or graph. And also, eventually, you want to get to the point where you can even build and customize your own. But this is all, we've done a lot of work over the past 6 months to get the foundations in place for this solution. So, a lot of stuff's been happening without kind of being able to show anything. So it's exciting for us as a team to be able to show you the first one. But you'll see over the next few months, a lot of development from the reporting point of view, because a lot of the groundwork has now been put in place. So that's great. And I think from the home screen perspective, the new home screen, I think as I still have 2 sites, and one of the drawbacks of Stora has been you kind of get dropped into these subscriptions when you log in. So this is the start of us trying to help make your day-to-day life easier and highlight your tasks. And one of the next steps that we'll go on to later in this call is helping you to automate some of those tasks and sort of remove some of those things that you shouldn't really have to do anyway. So this is kind of a step in that direction towards even more automation. So okay, cool. So I'm going to let's see, actually get my screen up here. Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Okay, so I'm just going to run through, this will be quite quick. It's just really, I wanted to highlight some of the more recent features of Stora, and just wanted to go through quickly, because there's probably some stuff that you are using, and maybe some things you aren't, and some of these things hopefully will help you to get more from Stora, and hopefully even grow sales and improve your business ultimately. So the first thing I was going to say, number one, is about your Storefront best practices. So we have a lot of people who use our Storefront, which is the website, and there are different ways everyone can customize it. So there's lots of different people customize in lots of different ways. And one of the things we just wanted to highlight is it is really worth taking a look at some best practices for website to increase conversion. So whenever you look at your own Storefront, it is worth looking at it and saying, am I doing the right things here? So for example, a good example is Store Stuff. So the layout here, we have another example, a customer, I'm sure, I think Matt is on here, Woe Storage. We think they do a great job of showing the site, and also this is one of our demo accounts here, 100 self-storage. So some of the things to look out for are not using all capitals, not repeating the same thing multiple times. Like for example, a phone number. If you have a phone number in one place, don't put it in 2 or 3 more places on the first page. Most people don't do that, but it's just worth having a check just to make sure that you are implementing some of the best practices so that it doesn't damage the conversions on your website. Okay, number 2 was maps. So Stephen already showed this a little bit. Most people are using maps. If you aren't, I highly recommend you use it. Our map product is it is a fantastic product. It's up for the Innovation Award at the UK conference in May. And one of the nicest things about it is it's just completely live. So you can click into this, and this gives you an instant graphical view of how your business is performing. So the green units are all who's in there. You can click straight through to the customer, their subscription. You can deallocate it. Anybody who isn't paying, you can see they're overlocked. This is completely live. So if anything changes, now it'll instantly update. So I really would recommend everyone turning this on. It's easy to build. This is the builder here. It's a really simple tool. If you have any questions or problems or issues, we can help. So give us a shout if you'd like some help. But it's designed to be really simple and easy to use. Okay, so that's maps. I was also going to say then on ID checks. So this has been around for a while, and a lot of customers do use it. Some don't. We built this because I had a customer in my first site who left a pile of drugs on the site, and I had to call the police. And it turned out he'd used a fake ID to get in, and we weren't checking those IDs. So Store identity is a way of stopping people from using a stolen identification. It does a photograph of their face, a photograph of the ID. It checks that the photo pictures match, and then it sends it away for an external check. So if you want to turn that on, it's in check-in. Just flick it on here. So that's ID checks. This is a kind of a smallish thing, but if you have specific instructions for, sorry, let me just close this. If you have specific instructions you would like to your customers to receive on their move-in email, so your customers get an email from Stora on the morning of their move-in. If you want to add specific instructions to that email, you can. So this is within the site. You can. So this is within the site editing. You can go in and simply in here include a custom message in your move-in day email. So it might be that you want people to report to reception, so they can sign a contract if you're not already doing online contract signature, or you want to meet them. Maybe that's the way you run your business. You can add that stuff in here, and that'll be included in the email. So that's customizing your move-in day emails. Another thing to check out. The fifth thing I was going to say is sometimes you'll also have issues with a unit. So for example, I had units a couple of years ago where I had leaks in some of my units, water got into them, and I had to sort of track the status of those in an Excel spreadsheet. Whereas now, if you go into a unit, you can actually add notes now. So let's say had a leak, and you could put in the date 30th of March. Workman called out. You can save that. That'll save it against that unit, and it will always be there now, and you'll be able to go back and see the date of that note and who did it and everything else. So it's a way of tracking units if you've something you want to manage with units. So number 5, unit notes. Number 6 is the ability to set prices on different periods now. So whenever we initially launched Stora, you could only bill every month. We now support every week, every 4 weeks, every month, every 3 months, every 6 months, and every year. And you can go in and turn those on and off in your system. If you want, for example, if somebody wants to pay annually, you turn this on. You can go then and set a price for the unit. You can set an annual price. So let's say we go in here and set an annual price for this unit. Let's call it £1,500 for the year. You can then sign them up to a subscription at £1,500 annually, and it will recur. Stora will take care of that again for you. So that is just different timings on your subscriptions if you want to set that up. Okay, so I think of three left. We also now, by default, your customers can go to the customer portal, which is the Stora customer portal, and they can cancel their subscription. And most people like doing that. They like the fact that customers can just go ahead and do it. But if you have, say, some different kind of notice period, or if you kind of want to make it a little bit harder for people to cancel, you can turn off that as well. So you can, by default, this is on. If you want to, you can turn it off. So people will not be able to log in. Your customers won't be able to cancel in the portal if you turn this off. They'll have to phone you. So give them a note, call, or whatever it might be, so they can call you and do that. So that's turning off or turning on cancellations in your portal. So 2 final things on Stripe. I was going to say Stripe have a payment method called Link. So I would encourage everyone to go into your Stripe account and just make sure this is turned on. There are 2 benefits to Link payments. Link is a Stripe-based payment that allows people to pay across hundreds of thousands of websites. If you've this turned on, apparently your conversion rates could increase by 7%. So of course we want to increase conversion rates. And the second thing is the processing fees, if you use Link, are significantly lower. I think it's maybe 1.2%. So it's 0.3% lower than normal card payments. I don't know exactly. I think it's that, but so don't quote me on that, but it is lower. It's cheaper. Final thing on Stripe is make sure and turn on retries for your subscription. So this is if somebody's card payment or direct debit payment fails, you want to retry it, and you want to automatically retry it, and make sure you've turned that on, and that's done inside your settings, subscription and emails, and then under manage failed payments. So make sure and go in and set that up the way you want to set that up. So that's kind of it. The only 2 final things I want to say is we have our help center here, so feel free to go in there if you've got questions. It's a great place to go. We're also down here, so lots of you, I'm sure, are in touch with Brian or some of our team down here. We're there too to help you. And also, if you've got questions about the industry, or I don't know, about where you're buying insurance or where to get doors from or whatever it might be, feel free to ask it in our community here. So that's at community.stora.co. There's lots of people in here asking questions about the industry in general. So it's a great place to learn about what other people are doing and ask questions too. So I would also encourage you to take a look at that. I think that's me for now. So I think we will skip next is, I think we're going to skip over to Josh, who's going to make a very exciting announcement. So Josh, thanks.
Thanks. Let me just bring up my slide. So, I mean, my profile picture alone was one of the key things here. So last year I was able to attend the Stora Social that we hosted, or I say we hosted, I've not yet joined. So the team had hosted a very successful event in London last year. And I was keen as soon as I joined to find out when we could do the next one. So I can confirm we've got our next Stora Social lined up. It's going to be on the eve of the SSA show in Birmingham in May. So on the Monday night, if you're planning on arriving the day before, then we're going to have a social event for everyone that's willing to come along. It's going to be a nice, relaxed, informal affair before the big hullabaloo that is the SSA show for 2 days. So you can come along, have a drink, get to meet the whole team. We'll be bringing everyone over from Stora, so you can ask us questions, find out what we're working on, or just have a chat. One of the key things we are going to be running, though, is a live podcast between Gavin and Dean from the Hacking Self-Storage podcast. Thanks, Stefan. And so they've got, chance to run through some things and just, get to know us a bit more, and hopefully there'll be some key insights and things for you as well. You can register straight away. It's completely free. Just head to stora.co/social. We'll also be sending the link out soon afterwards as well, along with the recording, so you'll get all the links to the relevant things shortly from us. But looking forward to meeting you all and tying all in, and hopefully it all works with travel arrangements if people are already planning on attending. So excited to be part of this one a bit more.
And Dean is here, I believe. I think I saw him on the call there. I'm just going to add him as a co-host. So Dean, if you've anything you want to add to that. But the general plan is to record this podcast in front of everybody, and hopefully everyone will have a beer in their hand or whatever, and it's going to be hopefully a good bit of fun. We haven't really worked out exactly what we're going to do, but hopefully it should be a good hour or so of probably debating something where Dean and I will completely disagree, and then we'll all agree at the end.
Yeah, I'm genuinely really looking forward to it. I've got to be careful because I'm in a coffee shop and I'm right near the door, so I've got my hood up because it's absolutely freezing here. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I feel a bit stupid talking in a coffee shop, so I'm going to shut up now. But yeah, really looking forward to it. It'll be awesome to see you guys before the event.
Fantastic, great stuff. Thanks, Dean. Great. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll give you more info as it comes through. But if you'd like to register, you can do so straight away. While I'm here, then I'll jump into the questions that we have. So we have had some questions come through already, and really appreciate you sending those through in advance. If you did have any questions based on what you've heard so far, I think we did have one come from the chat, and let's start with those, and then we can jump through to the ones that have been pre-sent through. So if you just click the hand raising icon, and then we can get you unmuted, and feel free to ask away.
If you prefer, you could also type questions. I think there is the ability to.
Yeah, precisely. If you're also in a coffee shop and prefer to get me to read them out, then by all means, you can do that. I did see we got one from James coming through. Stephen, you might be able to help on this one. So roughly when will the new reports be phased in?
Yeah, no problem. So we hope to get that first report live in the next few weeks. Beyond that, we have the infrastructure in place now to make it much easier for us to create these reports. So over the course of the next quarter, we plan on trying to release as many as we can, really. So we want to hear from you if you have an idea what would be the most valuable report that you could have in Stora. And that'll certainly feed into our decision making on which ones that we prioritize.
Stephen, just a quick one. Where is the best place to ask that question? Is it by email? Is it in the forum? If somebody has a report that they would like us to, that they think is important for them, where would they send that to?
Yeah, anywhere really. Like you can get in touch in the chat. We could start a forum post after this for everybody to reply to if people want to jump on there. as long as it's sent to us, we'll make sure it gets actioned, and so it shouldn't matter where.
Okay.
Great. There was a question that came through the chat, and then there's a couple of hands raised. If we start with you, and did you want to unmute yourself?
Hey guys.
Hi, Ian.
How are you? You good?
All good, thanks.
Good. It's based around move outs, cancellation dates. I know I've brought this up a few times, but we work on a 30-day notice period, which we try to operate as much as we can. Obviously that because of the way the system works at the moment, that creates us some problems. So for example, if the customer, let's say their payment date is the 28th of the month, they come to us on the 24th and say they want to cancel their subscription, give us a 30 days notice. We have to then cancel their unit as of the 28th of March and then do a one-time charge, obviously, but they are still a customer for the next, until the 24th of April, for example. The one thing is for us is obviously the system doesn't record that they're a customer, so reporting wise, that doesn't help. Is there any way that you guys can, get into get a system where we can basically select a move out date and the last charge or something? I'm hoping that's coming across.
Yeah. So we have had this request along with lots of stuff. This is a relatively common request. There's different operators have different terms really for notice periods, and you're absolutely right. So at the moment, and there's a lot of things with Stora, like for example, initially it was only monthly charging, and now it's more flexible. So whenever we launched Stora, we had to make sacrifices in flexibility, and one of those was the way we handled the notice period. So the way it handles at the moment, Ewan, is if you cancel, there's just no more future charges. So it is in a roadmap to address that and to allow operators to sort of set it up in different ways. Because what you're describing there is a bit of a hassle for you to kind of manage. I get that. So I would expect at some point in the near future, because we have had this discussion, you as the operator will be able to select, how do you want to handle it, and then our billing system will then bill on that in that way. So whether it's 30 days notice or 60 days or whatever it might be, it would handle that. I don't have a timing on that, but it is in our we are aware of it as a limitation and a hassle for customers. So it's something we are going to get to. I just don't have an exact date yet.
Yeah. Sorry. The main thing for us is, at the moment, working out of one site as we do, it's okay from a staffing point of view. We're in the process just about to do heads of terms on another site, and we're looking at another one as well. The problem is when we get to multiple sites, that's going to become difficult. And we floated around a few ideas. The other one was to basically say to people their notice period is up until their next payment date. Obviously, in some instances, we could only get 1 or 2 days notice that they're moving out, and then in other instances, we'll have a customer saying, well, look, we don't want to pay for another 3 weeks because we're not, and we don't want to do refunds. I don't, because that costs us, and obviously some other time thing. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. I've considered all these things as well, because even at my own sites, there's a temptation to add in notice periods. So it is something we're aware of, and so hopefully by the time your new site's opened, it's something we will hopefully be able to have addressed.
Obviously, sorry, just a final point. Obviously, if anyone's got any other ideas or how they're doing it, I'm willing to, if anyone's got any advice or anything, it's probably the only thing that I would, I'd like to change really. So if anyone else has got any other ideas or how they're doing it that works best or better, then happy to hear.
Thanks, Ian.
Cheers.
Great. Okay, so we've got David, if you wanted to go next, and then there's another question from George in the chat. So if we start with David and then go to that question.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I'm greedy. I've got 2 questions for you. Quite simple ones. First is on the welcome email that gets sent to the customers. Getting quite a few customers come back to us saying, "What's my unit number?" And when you look at it, it's sort of like hidden somewhere in the first line or two of text. Yeah, we need to highlight the fact this is your unit number a bit more, because I'm getting it more often. So it's obviously an issue. That's number one. And the second one is
David. Just so you know, David, I have designs ready to go for that, with something we'll address in the next month or so. I'll send you a concept actually, just so you can see what you think as well.
Oh, perfect.
Because it's already mocked up.
Perfect, thank you. And the second thing is just around customers signing contracts. I often get customers signing 3 or 4 contracts, and I can only assume that's because they don't realise they've already signed it once. And we can come in the morning and I've got 4 copies of contracts that have been signed by Sign Now. So again, just wonder if that can be made a bit more streamlined, because customers are clearly getting confused with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's the contract signature actually is an area that we've done a good bit of work on around. Well, we haven't actually released something, but it's an area that we're going to be fixing and improving significantly over the next while, as part of sort of our work for Q2 this year. So starting in a couple of days or next week, we're sort of starting a couple of new big priorities, and one of those is around the automation of the entire move-in process. So that's going to involve, at the moment you have to go and allocate a unit to people, and we want to kind of automate as much as possible of the entire process, and that includes allocating units and the ID if you turn it on, and contracts if you do those. And it's right at the moment, the Sign Now solution is not ideal. It kind of works, you get a signed contract, but it doesn't feed back into the system. So I would expect some big improvements there over the next 3 to 6 months on these contract things.
Cool, thank you.
Perfect. And then this one might be a quick one from George. Hello, where do I find the place where I have an email sent to a customer on the day of check-in? So
George, that's in the site. If you go to your site, edit site setup, and you scroll down, there's a customer move-in day email section, and that's where you can turn it on and edit the text. So go to Stora, go to your actual site and edit site, and it's on that page.
Fantastic. So I'll jump through to the questions that we've received so far, and then if anyone else has any more as we're going through it, feel free to. Maybe we just jump into this one. Can you share a bit more about where you stand on auto increase pricing, like pricing based on the availability of a specific unit type? I mean, that actually does go through to our next question in terms of where we're going with features in the next 12 months. So Gavin, if you're happy to kind of shoehorn those two together. Yeah,
so this was what Josh is showing here is one of the questions that we got through. What features can we expect in the next 12 months? And I think what I'm going to say now is different to what I probably would have said about 2 months ago here, because I'm sure a lot of you have noticed a lot of press around this revolution in software and technology, and that's AI. We are, I think, Stora, our goal at Stora is to help operators run the most efficient self-storage businesses and to help you to grow and maximize your revenue. So really to help you run the best business possible. And we have a big roadmap of features that we want to build in order to help you do that. But so I'm just going to talk about AI for 10 seconds because I'm not an expert on it, but we've started doing quite a lot of research into AI and what might be the impact that AI could have on self-storage as an industry, and also what impact could it have on our ability to build world-class software and features that would help you to run a better business. So we have already started doing quite a lot of work around an investigation of AI and what that might mean. So that could have an impact on what we do in the next 12 months, because we might find that the priorities might change. We might also find, and early indications seem to suggest, it will increase the speed at which we can develop to write code. And I need to be careful what I say here, because I'll probably the engineers kick me under the table if I say too much, but it should allow us to speed things up significantly. So that's one thing. But to answer the question about pricing and features for the next 12 months, we typically will work on sort of on what's the next quarter and what's the quarter we're in and the quarter coming after that. What are the priorities? Our priorities for the next quarter, so starting next week, are mostly around the reporting side of things and making that a lot better, and also around this, what I talked about there, the sort of the move-in process and automating that as far as possible. So that's kind of the main focus at the moment of our Q2 priorities. But this pricing question is a really, really important question, and that's something that comes up all the time. And we have a lot of designs actually for different pricing. So the way I see this auto increase pricing, there's really, in my mind, 3 areas that we need to address here. Number one is the ability to run dynamic pricing. So that's the ability to change pricing on your website and in your system for new customers. So how do you change the price for new customers to optimize revenue? So that might be based on availability or even other things that we can pick up, like what's the demand for self-storage in the UK or in your area today. The second thing is automatically increasing the prices for existing customers. So that's automated price increases. That's the second thing. And then there's a third thing, which I think we're also becoming more aware of, is how can you even upsell at the point of sale? So for example, could you let people choose, could you break down your 100 square feet by good, better, best? And so you show a price, £100 a month for your good 100 square feet. So that might be at the back of the facility, but they can actually upgrade, like they can upgrade on a flight, they can upgrade their seat. So you could charge people an extra £30, £40 for the one right by the front door. So those are 3 areas that we're looking at and we're doing design work around. We are, I suppose, really, really, really focused on helping you grow revenue. So this is a really important thing for us. And I think whenever we come out with it, my aspiration is it's the best model for optimizing revenue in self-storage. That's the goal. So we're not rushing it because we want to get it right, but we know how important it is, and it is coming at some point. So where do we stand? It's on our roadmap. We know how important it is, and we intend to kick off those 3 things as soon as we can. I can't give an exact timeline, but I'd expect us to have at least one of those addressed this year. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but we're definitely really focused on helping you do that. For auto increase pricing, it is possible. Increasing prices is possible in store. I do it in my sites. You can do it, but it takes a bit of time. It's sort of manual. So we are doing it. So sorry, a bit of a ramble there, but that's where we are on prices. I'm just going to mention, Anthony, you also asked about the subject of emails. Are there plans to enable operators to send custom emails from Stora? And yes, there are. So we want to build that into Stora. At the moment, you can do a bit of customization, which I showed there for the move-in day emails. But you're probably talking about expanding that out to something more general where you can email customers. We have that is a relatively common request and something we are looking at again. It's on the roadmap. There are plans. Don't know when we'll have that, but there are plans to do that too.
Sorry, Gavin, I'm going to make you talk next because I can't answer this one. So is all business slow right now, or is it just us?
Well, we've got a lot of operators on the call here, so we might have other people who can contribute to this. My first site, and I have 2 sites now. My first site in Northern Ireland, it's gone from 75% occupancy down to 60% occupancy in the past 6 months. So I have seen a significant drop off in occupancy. Like 60% still fine, it's still going well, but that is a significant drop in revenue as well. So I'm seeing that. I would hope Q2, so April, May, June, we'll see hopefully see things kind of come back, but I don't know. I'm not seeing signs of increased bookings myself from my sites here. But if anybody else wants to comment, feel free on that, on how they're getting on.
I was just going to say, let me launch a very quick fire poll here.
So Dean has just said quotes are picking up now across my sites. This is good. Oh, and Anthony said much more like a pre-COVID year for us. Okay, yeah. Interesting.
It's 50-50 at the moment, but I'll leave the poll running for a little bit, having just realized it's only 2 votes so far. So next question. When we have limited availability on smaller units, is there a way to temporarily promote larger units at a discounted price for the first 3 months, as an example?
Okay, so I think this is connected to sort of dynamic pricing, the ability to automatically change prices based on availability, which is something that we are working on. To do this exact thing, so if you wanted to promote larger units at discount prices for the first 3 months, then you can do that by creating a new discount code on Stora manually and attaching it to those unit types. So it is possible. It's going to take you 5 minutes to go and set it up. In the future, our dynamic pricing model, what it should do, probably will do at the very least, will be increase the price of the units where there's limited availability, which would be a similar way of achieving, I think, what this question is trying to achieve.
Got you. Now, I believe we ticked off the move out dates with Ewan, and then the next one will be, can we have move in, move out weekly reporting, which I think Stephen probably ties in with what we're talking about, having kind of reporting priority in the forum. So if this is one of them that can be added in.
Well, whoever asked that, I'd be interested. The report that Stephen showed, it does show allocations on a weekly basis, monthly basis, daily basis. So, allocations are sort of the same as, should be the same as move in, move outs, apart from in some exceptional circumstances. So if that is not, if our report that we've built isn't achieving that, isn't the answer to that question, then I'd be interested to know what additional we need to do to get that.
Okay, perfect. One that I can jump in on as it relates back to marketing. So my Google Ads Manager believes my Stora website has a lower success rate, requiring a higher spend to see the desired results. What could be causing this? So this one I found very interesting. So from a technical standpoint, in terms of how Google is reviewing and crawling your website, whether that's for SEO or PPC, it should be, even straight out of the box, on par, if not higher, than most self-storage websites or just websites in general. Page loads quickly, it's mobile responsive, elements are not banded around too close together, so it's got usability. So for all kind of Google's technical aspects, it should be ticking all the right boxes straight out the box. So if for whatever reason your Google Ads account is underperforming for your site, either you're not receiving the right amount of leads or the leads that are being brought through aren't converting well enough, so maybe they're low quality leads, I would want to be taking a look more in lines with what Gavin was mentioning about his top tips, looking at the content that's actually being displayed from you at the start. So have you got too many call to actions? Have you got the phone number blasted around and really you want them to be coming through the booking process and getting the contact details that way? Is the site visually appealing? I'd be having a look at what campaigns aren't running well and thinking what could you do to add things and start running some experiments. The one thing that I think is a common mistake that people do is they'll push everything to their homepage regardless of what the person searched. So if they've searched for local storage, it's really simple in your storefront to create a new page that's specific for your local area. And you can say, if you're looking for storage around X, then, we're nearby to Y and Z, so we're the solution. So you can just create a separate page and have your Google ad pointing to that one. So your homepage alone isn't necessarily the way to go. So your account should allow you to run a lot of experiments. But from a technical point of view, I'd be surprised, and I'd want to find out a bit more from your ad manager what it is that they think the current setup's lacking, because I'd point it more toward the content that's being displayed. Hopefully that answers that one. I can see we just had a bunch of questions coming through, so what I'm going to do is bring the chat open, leaving the poll running for a little bit more. Well, it seems like the sentiment is broadly the same in terms of the kind of pre-COVID occupancy.
Except Ewan's doing something right anyway. 95% occupancy. Ewan, what are you doing? Brilliant.
Do you want to answer that or not?
Well, yes. Any
No, that we obviously we opened September 21. So was it 21? Yeah, September. The last few years have just been an absolute mashup, haven't they? You know, we only saw, I was well aware we came in good times and saw it really good, but it's never really seemed to drop off. For example, yesterday, you know, 4 inquiries for small units, but you know, not just an inquiry of what's the price, but no, you know, I want one, you know, and we just haven't got any. So there's another site here in the same town as well. They got 280 containers down there, so they're a lot bigger than we are. You know, I wouldn't say we're cheap, but you know, we're not cheap either. You know, I looked at another site the other day in another town. You know, they're doing a 20-foot container for 150 a month. You know, we're at 190, and that's only 15, 20 miles away. So we're not cheap.
So it's interesting. We might actually have the data somewhere, but in our system. But I wonder whether container storage tends to be lower price per square foot than indoor storage. And I wonder whether, if there is if people are tighter with cash, are they more inclined to go for the container storage than maybe indoor storage? It'd be interesting to know if container storage has maybe not seen, whether indoor storage has seen more of a hit potentially. I don't know, but it's just interesting to know that, because that might be one of the factors too.
Yeah, we're hot on the, as soon as customer makes an inquiry, we have the sort of 10-15 minute rule of getting in contact. We use text message a lot. I saw, was it David just mentioned then something about the customer when they get the unit number. What we do is we send a text message the day before, and it says, "Hi, Gavin, tomorrow's your moving day. This is your unit number. This is your site access code. You will also receive this information tomorrow via email. These are our site opening times. This is our address. We look forward to seeing you." And it's a simple thing, takes 2 minutes. I always send it out the day before. Text. We use text message a lot, even for quotes as well. We've got a template we send back if we get a quote. We can't get hold of the customer, we send them a text message. The online chat as well. I don't know, do you guys, we use an online chat on our website. That's something, we've had great success from that as well.
Cool.
So
good. Thanks, Sean. That's helpful.
Right, just running through the final chat questions. I find a lot of drop-offs when people go to book. It seems they don't want to enter the card details. I won't comment on the card details, but one thing I would say, if you are seeing a lot of drop-offs on your website, we have just launched the pop-up feature, and that's got kind of exit intent in there for you. So if that's completely free to add to your storefront, you can just plug that on, and it's got tracking. So if it feels like the person's about to drop off your website, it could be that last-ditch attempt to get their email address or phone number for you. Whatever they've kind of lacked that not allow them to commit, then there's that kind of safety net that you could add on to your site, and that's readily available now.
Josh, can I just add to that? Anthony's suggestion about letting people book without payment method is an interesting one. It is something we looked into last year whenever we were introducing direct debits from the storefront as well, and it is something we could do relatively straightforward. It's just a question then of what the repercussions of doing that are for the check-in and things like that. But if it's something people are interested in, it's certainly something we could consider.
Perfect.
What about a poll on that? Would people like us to do that?
Let me very quickly end the last one, and I can tell you that 5 to 4 businesses has been a bit slow. So it seems like a bit of a mixed bag.
So allowing people to reserve without the card details would basically mean, they pick their move-in date, what unit they want, which is what they already do, and just confirm it really, and then there'd be some manual step there around getting payment details at some point, or potentially it's sent to them by email where they can kind of complete their payment flow. So is that something that people would like, or would people be interested in that, or not? Because the results of the poll, I won't decide what we do, because maybe it's something that enough operators want anyway that it's worth doing. But it's certainly something to consider.
There we go. I'll leave that running for a few minutes and then just jump back to the chat. It seems like there's a lot going on with the insurance policy changes, especially in relation to Basel. I'm not sure if there's a direct question to be asked out of this one, but if there's something of kind of relevance.
Maybe Anthony has a...
Right, yeah, Anthony, if you wanted to actually bring that up.
Well, on the insurance side of things? Yeah, so there's some changes going on the regulation side for the underwriters. And as a result, a number of big underwriters that previously have backed the industry have pulled out. So the likes of Basil Fry and the other brokers are having to find new underwriters, and insurance is going to be packaged differently. So things are coming, and don't quote me on this because obviously I'm not a insurance professional in it, so I can't be, please don't hold me accountable for anything I say, but this is what we've started to be told, is that we're going to end up selling protection plans rather than insurance. We're going much more like the American model, where you're not selling access to insurance, but a protection plan. In essence, it's exactly the same for the customer. There's a bit of movement in terms of liability. And one of the big changes is we won't be charging IPT going forward. All insurance plans or protection policies will have to incur VAT. Basil Fry and the likes are working quite detailed at the moment with the SSA on this, and it's likely to start rolling out when you come to renewal times in the next quarter and onwards.
Beautiful, thanks.
That's helpful. And I was going to say one little thing to add is we are in touch with most of the insurance companies to make sure that as this transition happens, we make all the necessary changes in your checkout flow, and the right boxes are being ticked and the right documents are being given to your customers. So we are making sure that that transition is made as easy as possible if you're using Stora.
Cool. Last couple of questions then. So David's asked, is there a plan to auto change a storage type from lead capture to bookable when one becomes available?
Well, that's a good question. As part of our work around dynamic pricing, we will be looking at data around availability, and so it would be a natural extension of that to flow that through to automatically managing availability on the website. There's a slight complication there because some operators would not want to show a unit if it's not available, but at the same time, some operators would decide just sell it anyway. Because they might not be moving in for 2 weeks, and I might have an empty one by then. So we've been a little bit hesitant to kind of get something out because there are quite a lot of variables in how different operators run their business. But we'll navigate that and work out a way, and at some point that will be possible. It's an extension, no doubt, of our dynamic pricing work.
Cool, that's you. And then you've said, when would they pay, which I believe is in relation to the reservations without card details. So looking at the poll, 3 of you said yes, you would like reservations without requiring card details, whereas 5 of you said no. So it sounds like there's an appetite there, but I think the mainstay prefer the card taking option. So we'd need to ensure we were offering both options if we were to add this in.
We'd have to look into that's a good, interesting question. When would they pay? Would have to work that out. It might be that you let them book and then they get emails to confirm. Here's your booking's confirmed. And here's a link to go and set up the payment so we can start charging your card. Maybe it's as simple as that, or don't know. Stephen might have more thoughts, but that's certainly something we can work on as we look at this. It's worth us having a look at it.
Can I add some data into this? Because it's something that I did a bit of digging on with our 2 Stora sites that we've got. And I was just looking at Google Analytics, and I've done as much tracking there as I could. And the thing that caught me was that whilst we've got a lot of people looking at the prices, and then, so it was in February for one client, 48 people clicked the button to book the unit, having seen the price. But then of those 48, only 7 went on to fill in the actual booking form with the card details. And obviously at that point, they've got all the information. The only thing I could genuinely think that is the reason that then stops them at that point is something that we're asking for that's going to make them decide, oh, actually, I don't want to do the booking now. If they're happy with the price, I couldn't quite work out what it was. And hence my thought process was, is it the fact that we're asking for card details? And it might be that, the operations where we have it in places, they're newcomers and people are going, oh, I don't know this company yet. I like their prices. I do want to book it, but am I comfortable giving away my card details straight away versus starting a conversation and then doing that later on? And it was just, is there a way that we could get that reservation, get the booking in, and then the card details be handled sort of later on? So therefore giving us a bit more of that pipeline coming in with the card details not being sort of mandatory really early on.
Thanks, Anthony. I think there's so many variables there. So you'll always get drop off on it, as people go through the website, and it may be that we're asking for cards. It may be something else. It would be interesting if we do add this option in. Does that 42 number get to 10 or does it get to 5? Because it might be 42. You end up with 15 set up a move-in date and book without payment details, but only 5 of them actually ever add their details. Who knows? So it's certainly something I'd love to explore, because if it does mean higher conversion, we of course want to facilitate that and support that for our customers, obviously. So yeah, interesting.
I think it's a good opportunity then to give the pop-up another plug. So if you're finding that you are getting those drop-offs, experiment with it for a period of time, see if people aren't committed to completing the full online reservation form, but they are happy to give you the email address or phone number, and then just see what your overall conversion rates do for maybe a full calendar month. And then maybe that will give a bit more insight into it. I realize the timing wise, so we could probably wrap up in a second. We've got an unknown question coming through though. Yes, we will provide a session, so the recording will come through shortly afterwards to everyone that's registered. And when will the new pricing options be available online?
Which pricing options is that referring to, do you think?
Excellent. Unknown, if you're still around, if you could just give us a little more context on that one. So
I can make an assumption that if what they mean is, like you can charge monthly and you can charge annually, for example, and at the moment you pick one billing period, so monthly, for example, to be shown in your website. If somebody wants to pay annually, they'll have to do it, directly with you over the phone or in person, and you do it in the back end of Stora. So if this question is referring to when on the website could I let people choose to pay monthly or annually, which I'm just going to assume that's what they're referring to there, because there is benefit to that too. You can push people into the annual payment by making it more attractive. I don't have an exact timeline, but again, that's another thing that we want to get into the storefront, because it is a way of increasing your cash flow. If you can encourage people to pay annually or even quarterly in advance, it's a lot better sometimes, because you can give a little bit of discount, but you get the cash up front. So it's one on the roadmap.
Perfect. I think that's probably about time to wrap up. I'll just make sure there's nothing else that's come through. Great. Well, like I say, we'll be sending the recording for the call coming through shortly, along with the registration for the social in May, and we'll also put in some useful links as well for the new features that Stephen's run through. Gavin, I don't know if you had any final thoughts to wrap up on.
Yeah, not really. No. I suppose thanks everybody for being here. We'd like to do more of these. Maybe every few months. Our next thing is going to be the Stora Social, which is in about 6 weeks. It's not too far away, the one in Birmingham. So it'd be great to see you all there. We're going to have drinks and nibbles, and we'll be having a good time. We're going to do this podcast. There'll hopefully be a chance to kind of just have fun together, and we'd love it if everybody can make it. But other than that, thanks for being here. And if you have any questions or comments or concerns about store or what we're doing or where we're going, then email me or Stephen or anybody and let us know.